Welcome! You're listening to Making Relationships Work. We're a company focused on women and their marriage. We lead and teach women just like you how to grow into and access, whenever you need to, your wise woman's self. The part of you who is deeply connected to your purpose, your innate wisdom, and your husband and family. We teach women in marriages how to rebuild trust and connection, to work through conflicts no matter how deep, no matter how painful, and to lead your marriage to a place where the two of you experience marriage mastery. This podcast is about learning the systems and techniques that truly work to reconnect you back into your marriage so that you can experience the freedom that comes with a masterful marriage. Since this podcast is totally free, if you're getting tons of value and you want to support us and make sure that you get more of this good stuff, subscribe below and rate and review our podcast today. Now, on to the show. Hello, Women Making Marriages Work. Hello, Making Relationships Work podcast, YouTube channel. Delighted to have you here with me tonight. We are going to be answering a question that came in from one of my women in my community, in our Women Making Marriages Work Facebook community. She left me a question in a thread which calls for topics. And so this one goes out to Susan. And Susan wants to know, how does she really understand if her husband is having a midlife crisis? How does she handle it? She keeps reading articles and information and stages of crisis and what to do. And my friend, I'm really glad we're talking about this, because the whole midlife crisis thing, I think it's clickbait. And I think it's these steps, these stages, I think are terrible. And I think it is a much deeper conversation. So don't get caught in it, because it is a real thing, but it is not. It is not a read an article, follow the steps, and you've got it sorted out. That's not what this is. So let's unpack what a midlife crisis is, how it's got such a terrible name, what it actually means, and what you need to do about it for yourself and to support your husband. So the first thing is the whole midlife crisis. It's been reduced to sports cars, affairs, leaving jobs and careers, that kind of image, I guess, is how we portray it from a cultural perspective. And we sort of celebrate it in a man somewhat for doing it, but a woman doing it, we don't really like that. And we sort of make it a masculine thing, not a feminine thing, which all of that is a cultural context, and none of that is true. Both women and men go through a coming of age in their 40s, late 30s. It is magnificent. It is highly appropriate. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, unless it is unsupported, because when it's unsupported, you get the maladaptive coming out instead of the creation of what you want to do with yourself and this one beautiful life you have. And so I think that a midlife crisis comes about, and I don't really like the terminology. I think it's a stage of life development. I think it's a path we have to walk when we're walking from, I guess, being in a system of our family of origin, the school community we grew up in, the work community that we've been under and not leaders particularly in. And it's a coming of age into our adult selves, like really adults, where we're the ones who host Christmas and Hanukkah and Thanksgiving, and we're the ones who make vacation decisions, and we're the ones who think about insurance and life insurance and house and contents insurance, and we are the ones who have all of this weight and responsibility. And we have to be thinking about our parents above us who need our help, and our children below us that need our help. And we've got to earn a certain amount of money. We've got to have a certain amount of power in ourselves in order to carry the load that's on us. And that weight that comes from both angles, which is around midlife, is the very thing that makes us say, am I in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time for me? Have I stopped and thought about this life that I'm living? And have I created it the way that I want to? And midlife crisis, again, I don't like the terminology, but the crisis comes from the gap between what you are living and what is your heart's desire. And so that is what we're talking about, is the gap between your actual reality versus what you wish it would be, and the stress point in between. And so some people say, well, you know, I'll go and get my sports car and I'll do this and I'll do that. And we write it off as a crisis. That's not the crisis. The crisis is an identity crisis. Who am I? Am I living congruently with what I'm supposed to do with this one beautiful life that I have? And am I on track to enjoy the life dreams that I set for myself? And if I'm not, how am I going to make that happen? And so that's why you see career changes. That's why you see reinventions. That's why you see friendships break up and end. That's why you see relationships and family dynamics change and shift, because the growth is what is really important here. And so how do you handle this? Well, it's a complex moment. And what you're being asked to do, and Susan, I know I'm answering your question, but I'm talking to everybody, not specifically you. But what you're asking me is, how do I grow into a wise enough woman that I can see and understand where my husband is and I know how to help him? And quite frankly, I can't answer that question in this short little video. This is a deep, nuanced question, and it's got lots of pieces. It's got lots of your own individual growth. It's got lots of your requirements to embody your truest self and to live congruently in your life, and to be able to own that and embody that. And that, of course, makes the relationship feel a lot different when both of you are congruently connected with who you are and are living your life in accordance with what's important to you both, and being able to talk about that. And so, Susan, what I'm talking about is a masterful relationship. It's masterful with two people who are masterfully connected to themselves and then each other. And so if you're saying, well, I don't really know how to do that, then that's okay. This is a great opportunity to learn. The crisis conversation comes because we don't know how to do it. We don't know what we're going through. We don't know why we're suddenly disrupted by it. And we literally don't know what we're going to do differently. And so we start trying on things. So very often they're the fast car or the affair partner, but they're also things like growing a beard or exploring different opportunities for work or in living or in life. How can I have a life that matches me? And there'll be things that work and things that don't work. But essentially, what you're looking for is the skill set to be able to talk about it with each other, so that what is a felt feeling can become a conversation about it, where the two of you work it out together, or he works a bit out and then shares it with you, and you understand what he's telling you, and you can, the two of you, have a beautiful container of safety around this transformation that happens in midlife. That's essentially what you're asking me for. And so the masterclass talks about how do you do that connection point. That's a good place to start. And if you're really serious about growing into the kind of woman who embodies her own transformation and also therefore supports and understands her partner's transformation, then you're going to want to book a call with me and my team using my calendar link that I'll put in the text. This is the greatest opportunity for the two of you to come back together and to grow in the next 20, 30 years of your marriage. It is the greatest opportunity to be that connected couple that is kind and calm and can talk about anything and can make their life dreams come true. They can share that experience together. And that is what allows you to move through this transformational period. It's not the last one you're going to go through. It's just the last one we talk about openly. The midlife crisis is actually redundant. We are actually talking about the midlife transformation, and you're going to have another one when you're 50s, in your 60s, in your 70s, in your 80s. My friend, it doesn't stop. So what you're asking for is, how do I go with life so that I can ride the waves, I can find my congruency, I can lead from a heart-based, and I can see and understand where my husband is, and that together we can share that journey. That's what you're asking for. So that, my friend, is Masterclass Book a Call. That's the short answer of it. The longer answer is all of the skill set upgrades that you're going to need to be able to deeply connect with yourself, to be able to lead from a place of a heart-based friend, and to be able to notice when your husband is using maladaptive coping behaviors instead of creating the life that's congruent for him. Because the problem with midlife crises is if when you're missing that infrastructure, it means you're missing the ability to create successfully. Instead, you're self-medicating with drugs or alcohol or porn or affairs or any of those things that go with the downward spiral. If we're looking at creating in this time of transformation, you get to create the world. We've never been at our most powerful than we are in our midlife, where we've got some resources behind us, but we've got a good chunk of time to go. This is the time for the greatest transformation. It's an incredible time. And if you find yourself in that downward space, you are missing the skills that you need to make sense of where you are, to heal the pain of what's hurting you, and to start creating the things that are right for you. And so if that's you, watch the Masterclass Book a Call. Let's talk and let's figure it out, because you get to have the life that you want when you're ready for it. And midlife is the perfect time to do it. All right, my friends, that's me finished on midlife crises and how I don't believe in them, but they are totally a phenomena. But it's not midlife crisis, it's the transformation. And the thing about transformation is that pain is the thing that gets our attention. So we've got a buildup of pain that lands us in midlife saying, I don't want to live like that. And then we get to create, what do you want to live like? And that, my friends, is where the golden years come from. What we create now is what we get to have in the next 30 to 40 years. So let's create, let's do that. All right, my friends, time for me to go. Talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning into today's show. If you're feeling fired up and you're ready to grow and you want to know more about how to do that, here is what I want you to do now. I want you to watch my marriage masterclass. This masterclass will show you how my clients have turned their struggling marriages into thriving marriages, even without their husband's buy-in. How my clients have gone from cycles of poor communication, disconnect and loneliness to being teammates and soulmates with their husbands again, even after they've already tried everything. And the proven system my clients use to start transforming their marriages in minutes, not years, because life is too precious to waste one more minute in an unhappy and unfulfilling marriage. So if this is what you're looking for, I want you to click the link below and take a look at my masterclass.